The Atari Jaguar's library tends to get a bad rap as being almost entirely composed of junk. Now, I tend to disagree a little with that assessment. It's not so much that games are complete junk, it's more like a lot of these titles are undercooked. Like if they could have been put back in the oven for a couple hours, they would have tasted a lot better. I think World Tour Racing is one of those games. It does have a lot of things going for it. It's nice to have an open-wheeled auto racing game on the Jaguar besides Checkered Flag. Another great thing about it is that it exists. This was one of the last titles published by Telegames for the Jaguar, along with Worms, Iron Soldier 2, Towers 2, Breakout 2000, and 05. And these games all came out after Atari had merged with JTS Corp and had essentially ended support for the system. I got this game when it came out way back in 1997, and it was really cool just to see a brand new Jaguar game. And this is a fairly ambitious title for the system. It has 16 tracks, single race arcade and championship modes, the ability to alter your car's tires, transmission, and other properties, a 2-player split-screen mode, and a nice up-tempo arcade-style soundtrack. It sounds good on paper, but unfortunately some technical issues and one unexpected game design choice hold this game back from being a really great title. This is really an arcade racer. Your car will take damage, but you can get in a few good hits before your front wing falls off. But the control is forgiving and pretty easy to get used to despite one issue I'll get to later. The graphics have an appealing look but are very low res, so much so that it's hard to see very far at all in the distance, and that makes it difficult sometimes to see when turns are coming up. All 16 tracks are fun to drive and feature a good mix of fast straights and technical turns. The tracks are spread across 16 different countries, though I'm not sure how close they are to any real-life tracks. The Monaco race course does in certain parts seem vaguely like the real thing, but I'm certainly not an authority at all on that kind of stuff. The graphics are a combination of 3D models like your car and some buildings and other structures, mixed with 2D sprites for trees and other things. One problem though is that there is a feeling of sameness to each track, because the graphics don't change too much. Each course has a unique background, but you'll see similar buildings, trees, and other items on every track. I would have thought that with the greatly expanded storage capacity of the CD, there would be plenty of room to get more varied sprites for the roadside items. Another issue with the graphics is the inconsistent frame rate. It's actually pretty good going down a straightaway, but when you hit turns, especially if there are other cars on screen, it really slows down and it can even throw off your timing. One little addition is that there are a bunch of FMV sequences for when you enter the pits or accomplish something cool in-game. Aw, I'm sad. One thing I do really like about the graphics is the camera views. Besides some fun but not very useful views like a trackside camera viewpoint, you have 3 main camera options for racing. 2 are from behind the car and are decent, but I really like the cockpit view. The perspective you get of the track is excellent, and the mirrors even work so you can see a car coming up on you. Now it does this using 2D sprites of a generic car, but still it works. The audio side of the game is pretty good. The sound of your engine is decent, other sounds like the screeching of your tires or running into another car are okay, but the music is the standout. World Tour Racing has a bright and fast-paced soundtrack that really suits this arcade racer. The only problem is there's only like 2 songs that play during the game, so you'll end up hearing them over and over. But still, not bad. The thing about World Tour Racing that is quite odd though has to do with the control. I said before that it's pretty easy to get the hang of driving your car, except for this one slightly baffling design choice. You don't actually have full control of your car at all times. You might not notice it at first, but at some point you'll see your car turn a little bit on its own. It seems to want to make sure you stay on the track. If you're going down a straight but drifting to one side, you'll see the game correct your lines so you don't go off the course. What's worse is during a turn, if it decides to help you, you might find yourself turning too hard and having to correct the other way. It even seems to slow you down a tiny bit if you're entering a turn too fast. Now this ghostly force isn't very powerful, you can still crash easily, and you will adjust to how it feels when it kicks in, but it would still be better without it. The thing is, you can't disable this feature. Now for all I know, if you could turn it off, the game would be uncontrollable. I have no idea. But it would be nice to be able to find that out. The 2-player mode is a nice addition. The frame rate actually holds up decently, and it still retains the full field of 10 cars. It's not just a one-on-one race. There are some other hidden extras thrown in as well. You can disable the track texture if you want. Seems like it might help the frame rate a tiny bit by turning it off, but I prefer leaving it on because even though it's an incredibly crude road texture, I like that better than driving on a vast gray void. There's also a track editor, but I don't really understand it. You just have a bunch of numbers and it seems like you can turn objects off or something. I'm not sure. I haven't spent time with it, maybe someone else knows how to work it. Lastly, there's an option to race as a bus, which is incredibly silly to watch, and I like it. To be able to see the bus, you have to race in one of the third-person camera views. You'll probably want the more distant one so you can at least see a little of the track. But some of the alternate views are actually kind of fun to use while driving the bus. One important feature that is strangely missing is memory track support. This doesn't matter for single races, but if you want to go through the championship mode, you'll have to rely on the password system, which is unfortunate. World Tour racing is fun, but needed more time in the oven. It's tough to know how rushed they were while making this game, but it's got a really nice foundation to build on. It just needed some time to clean up around the edges, which apparently you do in an oven. There are self-cleaning ovens. I'm not sure where I'm going with this metaphor. But anyway, if you could improve the frame rate a bit and make it consistent, have the option to disable the ghost control of your car, and make the look of each track more distinct, I would think this is a great game. As it actually is, though, it's pretty fun, and you can see all the potential it has. But in the end, it's not a great title. It's decent. I like the Jaguar, and I like having this game. If you're into this system, it's a cool game to own, but it's not going to change anyone's mind about the Jaguar's library. But it's still the only console that can take down a deer, so it will always have a special place in gaming history.